We are getting you covered and prepared and safe for this weekend's storm. Pet owners need to know how to keep their furry friends and family members safe during the dangerous cold temperatures, and now adding, the ice and the sleet factor as well. That might be keeping people off the roads, hopefully off the roads. But we do have joining us right now Melissa Nicely from Charlotte-Mecklenburg Animal Care and Control to talk about more. We have a number of things to talk about, Melissa, because so many pet owners are barely trying to take care of getting to themselves. What is the first thing they need to know when it comes to their furry friends?
Sure. So it's really important with the temperatures. Whenever it drops below freezing or right at freezing, we always want to make sure that we're keeping that in mind for our pets, especially if you have pets that are outdoor most of the time. And so first off, my message is for people who have outdoor pets, bring them inside, bring them indoors, even if it's to a garage, a basement, something like that. Getting them in and out of the elements is going to be very crucial during a weather system like we're expecting over the weekend. So bring them inside. If you cannot bring them inside, then what we're going to be looking for as animal care and control in our field services, we are going to be looking for proper and appropriate shelter to keep them out of the elements. That's something that is in our ordinance, and it's something that we look for in the form of dog houses, and they have to have a top, a bottom, 3 sides, and then the open side really needs to have just a really small opening so that it doesn't allow a lot of air and elements to get inside. And then the last thing I want to talk about outdoor pets is the bedding that's inside. A lot of people will take like old comforters and old blankets and thinking that they're warm. Well, they're warm when you put them in there, but once that air and wind and rain gets in them, they retain that moisture. So they are not really good items to use. What you want to use is straw, or what we like to refer everyone to use is cedar shavings that you get for pet bedding. And you can get those at any of your big box like home improvement stores, so or Tractor Supply, that sort of thing. And you really want to make sure that you get a lot of it in there, and that's going to actually keep them warm. And if they get wet, they dry out really quickly. So those are some important things. And then the water. If we're below freezing, the water bowls are going to freeze over. So you're going to need to make sure that you're providing them fresh water and knocking that ice out. But again, I just want to reiterate that, like with a storm this bad we're expecting, we just need to really try to get those animals inside at all costs, because it's going to be a really rough on them if they have to stay out in the elements and they don't have the appropriate shelter.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah. What's happening at the shelter this weekend? And I'm also understanding you're doing something called snowcations to help y'all out.
Yes. So we anticipate that there's a possibility that the shelter may close over the weekend. So what happens when we're closed? There's no animals leaving the shelter. However, our officers are still out and about. They're working, and there will be animals that are still coming in. And with the level of kennel space that we are always at with our dogs, I brought some numbers. Now we have 171 dogs in the kennel. Okay. We have 57 cats for a total of 228 animals. That's just in our 2 shelter locations. So what we're encouraging people to do to help with the space issue so that we don't run into running out of space for dogs is to come over the next day or 2 before the storm gets here and do, instead of a staycation, we're calling it a snowcation. So if you have room to foster or volunteer, anything, you want to come and you want to pick out a dog, take it home for the weekend, give it a really warm, nice, let it get up on your couch and let it have a nice warm place to relax during this big winter weather and all the precipitation that we're expected over the weekend.
Yeah, you also brought up another point. If you see a pet that you might suspect is a stray or just out there roaming around, what should folks do?
Yeah, so if you see an animal that you feel does not have the appropriate shelter, cannot get away from the elements or is out in the elements, and you literally you look around and you don't see anywhere for this dog to get out of the elements, that's in Mecklenburg County. And I want to stress that I know there's a lot of people watching that may not live in Mecklenburg County. So Mecklenburg County residents are going to call 311. and you're going to report this and ask for an animal welfare check. So what that's going to do is that's going to get to us, then dispatch will dispatch us out there. We'll take a look at everything. And on the back side of things, we actually are prepared for that. So we have been stocking up. And I want to there's an anonymous donor that every year gives us money to buy straw and bedding and things like that for outdoor pets in our community. So we have stocked up on that. We have some dog houses. So our officers are ready to help if it's an education issue. Obviously, if it's not and it's worse, we can seize those animals. And I just want to, one more thing with that. I want to let everybody know that if you're kind of hesitant to call in because you don't want the people you're calling in at to know your name or identity, that anytime that there's a situation where an animal is in peril and is possibly an animal welfare issue as far as safety and humane, then you can be anonymous. So to report any type of animal abuse or an animal neglect, you can remain anonymous. So I think that's important. And then outside of Mecklenburg County, what you want to do is you want to contact your local animal care and control. So that's your local government animal care and control in your county that you live in.
Yeah, great to know, Melissa. I want to talk about the pets that you have once this passes over us and we're dealing with some of the aftermath, or even during the storm, when it comes to like watching just the health of your cat or dog or what have you. Any signs of potential like hypothermia or frostbite that folks should look out for?
Yeah, I think that when you're talking about your dogs that are outside and your cats that are outside, if you cannot bring them in, then you definitely want to monitor them for things like that. And I would recommend that you need to contact your vet right away if you notice any signs of frostbite or anything like that. I don't have a medical background, so I'm not exactly sure what that would look like, but I think as a pet owner, you will know what that's going to look like. And then just any signs of like lethargy or just them not acting normal. I did want to touch on a couple of things for people who are clearly going to be walking their pets, and all of our pets are going to need to go outside to take breaks. And so what does that look like? Well, you definitely want to keep them short, and you definitely want to make sure of one super thing that I want to talk about, and it's kind of like my little, instead of a pedicure, it's a podicure idea. So you really want to, monitor their coats for one thing, and then their paws. So I have Siberian Huskies, and they have double coat. A lot of dogs have that double coat, and they are really built for this kind of weather because that inside, the underneath coat is very plush, like a cottony sort of insulation layer, and then their outer layers they're almost waterproof. It's unbelievable if you go to wash a German Shepherd or a Husky or something like that. It takes forever to get them wet. So they literally have a protection. A lot of the dogs that we have in the shelter, like our pity mixes and our Chihuahuas and our short-haired dogs, Doberman Pinschers, Rottweilers, they do not have that double coat. So those are the ones you're going to worry about a little bit more, and I would definitely look into getting some sort of dog coat. And because we're expecting so much more rain and sort of wet in this forecast rather than snow here in the Charlotte area, I would look for something that's waterproof, sort of like a ski jacket material, if I was going to pick out a coat for my dog in this type of weather. Yeah. And then lastly, the paws. This is a big important thing. There's going to be a lot of people putting ice melt out on the sidewalks, and especially if you live in neighborhoods and you're using the sidewalks to walk your animals, they're going to get that on their paws. And if you don't take care of it, what they're going to do is they're going to come in the house, they're going to lay down, and they're going to lick their paws. We don't want them to do that because there's different chemicals in the different types of ice melts. So my suggestion would be, once you get home, have like a little station set up by your door where you have just mild detergent or Dawn dish detergent's always good to use with the animals. Get a little lukewarm water and some rags and just really wipe their paws down. I think it's also going to help your house not get as dirty as well. So kind of a twofold, bonus there. The other thing is, and our vet had this great suggestion, we were talking about booties and things like that. If you don't have dog booties around, like another thing that you can do, they do have waxes and things like that, but we're kind of getting close right now. So I don't know if you could even get those in from Amazon. What she suggested is Vaseline. And so you just take a little bit of Vaseline. It doesn't take a lot. If they lick it, it's not going to hurt. A little bit's not going to hurt them. Put it on their paw pads, and that's going to kind of put a moisture barrier there. And that's going to help to protect their paw pads as well. You're still going to want to wash it when you bring them back in, but I thought that was a great tip, and most people do have Vaseline laying around the house somewhere.
It doesn't make things slippery?
It does not really, because most of the traction that they're going to go on is like a sidewalk or grass or something like that. So don't do a lot of it. You don't want it to be tacky, but you just want to put a nice little, almost like you're putting on a chapstick. Just a nice little layer. And also, that's a lot easier to do than trying to get on dog booties sometimes.
Carlene knows all of this too well. You have a little wiener dog.
And I have booties for turkeys, no, dogs ain't, but he doesn't particularly love them.
Yeah.
But I have to go through it and do the painful thing of putting it on there. But I'm gonna do it because I want his paws to be
Yeah.
but,
Right.
I do have a balm. I think it's like a coconut buttery balm for
Yes.
his paws. Whatever. I was gonna say too. I know it's like last minute, and people are like, where do I get a dog coat so last minute? I know this is not like an advertisement, like Home Goods and Marshalls, they have like a huge array of all
Yes.
those
Right, we
things.
forget about some
So
of
you
the
forget
other
some of
stores.
those other stores that might have them. Like if you need one,
Okay.
good places to check out.
Yeah.
It is.
Good.
It is. And we always have some available, not always have the right sizes,
Right.
but we do get donations of them from the local pet stores in the community. So if you're really, you're really freaking out because you can't find anything or whatever, swing by Animal Care and Control at Byram. We'll see what we can do for you. We'll go in our closet and let you shop in our little closet.
All right. You are open today, tomorrow, Saturday.
Yes, so we haven't
least.
closed yet.
Okay.
We won't know until the city, since we're under the city of Charlotte. It'll be officially announced from them if we're closed. So we're planning everything as normal, and we are open tomorrow at the main location, which is the one where we're the animal numbers that I gave you today. They are for the main location and for the satellite location. So you can go to either one, and I want to stress that either one of the locations pick up a dog, and it's going to make a difference.
Yes.
And just to review the locations, the main shelter's at 8315 Byram Drive. We're over where all that construction's going on by the
I drive through
airport.
that all the time.
And we also have our secondary satellite location at 2700 Toomey Avenue, and that's right off of 77 and Remount Road. You can actually see it from 77. They're open 9 to 5, and we are open 11 to 7 the next 2 days. So swing in. I don't want to encourage a lot of people to get out on Saturday morning, not knowing when this is going to happen, but we are planning on being open Saturday morning unless the weather shifts or that sort of thing. But you can look at our Facebook page or our website, and we'll have those announcements up there.
And then obviously Monday's going to be touch and go.
It will be
we'll
touch
see what
and go.
happens. As we head into this rough weekend, any, one big takeaway maybe two takeaways that our viewers should know, Melissa?
Yeah, definitely. You want to treat their family. I feel like animals are part of your family. You make a commitment when you take them on, adopt them, or whatever, however you ended up with them, that you've made a commitment to them. And we really, really need to be mindful that this weather could really, really, it could cause a lot of hypothermia. It could cause frostbite. It could, especially older dogs, if you have older dogs, really be mindful about that. The small dogs, just be mindful. It's just like when we go out in the cold, we bundle all up, we put our hats and coats and boots and everything on, and we're going to limit the time that we're out there. We kind of need to do that with our animals too. We need to make sure that they're our priority and making sure that we get them out, but for short breaks. And I hope that some people are going to get snow and they're actually going to be able to enjoy it with their animals, and of course send that into WCNC.
Thank
right?
you. Yes, of course.
Right.
Yes, that would be
Love it.
fantastic.
Right. And so, yeah, just make sure you're watching them, and then also another final tip is, I think just make sure that you're watching their paws and cleaning their paws when they come back inside.
Okay. Very good. Melissa, thank you so much. I mean, the animals and pets, they give us so much joy, It's the only thing that we can do. It's the right thing to do is to take care of them. Melissa Nicely from Mecklenburg Animal Care and Control. Thanks for coming in. Great advice, information, and messaging for our viewers and our pet owners are out there.
Thanks for having me.
All right, thank you.